Welcome. Today we're going to take a look at how 8th and ninth grade students can use MLA formatting. Now this is not going to include all of MLA. This is just going to include a small portion of the overall expectations, but this is enough for our 8th and ninth grade students. So let's start off with online sources. The expectations that we have for 8th and ninth grade students is that they'll include the following information when they're citing from an online source. So we ask the students include the author's name, the title of the piece, the URL address, and the publication or publisher, depending upon what you have. Let's take a look at some examples, because that can oftentimes make it all make more sense. All right, so here are a couple of different online sources. Our first one here, called Arrested for Refusing to Give Up Bus Seat in 1955, She's Fighting to Clear Her Record. That is the title of an article. It does not have an author listed. So you'll notice here we have the title of the article. We do not have an author. The title of the article goes into quotation marks. The title of the publication is NPR. That is italicized. And then following that is the URL that goes directly to the online source. So this here is our whole source that could go into our Works Cited page. Here's another example. This one we do have an author, Bradley Balco. Notice that his name is listed last name, comma, first name, period. So we list the name here of the author. And then we add the title of the piece, The Ugly Origins of Qualified Immunity. That's an article, so it goes into quotation marks. We have the title of the publication, which is Washington Post. That's italicized. And then we have the URL that goes directly to the piece right here. This is what your online sources will look like in your Works Cited page. Let's take a look at paper sources. These are paper sources that you actually have physically in your hands. For 8th and ninth grade students, we want you to include the following information when you're citing a paper source. We want the author's name, the title of the piece, and the publication or publisher. Let's look at a couple of examples here. Our first one is Fahrenheit 451. So that's the title of a novel written by Ray Bradbury. So I've got Bradbury, comma, Ray, period, because it's always last name, comma, first name, period for the author. And then I have the title of the piece because this is a novel. This is going to be italicized. And then we have the title of, or the name of the publisher, Simon & Schuster. Next, I have an article from a newspaper. This is by Ken Amundsen. So I've got Amundsen, comma, Ken, period. I have the title of the article, which is in quotation marks. And then I have the title of the publication, which is the Daily Camera, in italics. This is the way that your paper sources can look on your Works Cited. There is more information that goes into this according to MLA, but for 8th and ninth grade students, this is what we'll accept. For in-text citations, so this is a citation that goes at the end of each sentence where a student borrowed information from a source. At that point, you include your in-text citation. This needs to be the author's last name or the first 2 words of the piece. That's what we're asking for. Author's last name or first 2 words of the piece if you do not have an author's last name. Let's look at some examples. So here I've got Bradbury. So this would work for Fahrenheit 451. Author's last name is Bradbury. Here I've got an example for Bird by Anne Lamott. Just have the author's last name there, Lamott. And then I have 2 examples here for pieces that I don't have an author. For each of these pieces, I have the first 2 words of the piece, arrested for and a look. And then you'll see the in-text citation here in use. In the novel Fahrenheit 451, Montag eventually turns away from society's rules. Bradbury. The in-text citation is right here, Bradbury. Goes at the end of the sentence. It's inside of parentheses, and it's the author's last name. If I didn't have the author's last name, I would include the first 2 words in the title of the piece. That's the way that your in-text citation should look. So let's review. Expectations for 8th and 9th grade students. 8th and 9th grade students need to list the URL address, author's name, title of the piece, and publisher or publication for online sources. Or they will list the author's name, title of the piece, and publisher or publication for paper sources. BU teachers will accept this for source documentation. For in-text citations, these go at the end of each sentence where you borrowed information from a source. In-text citations typically go in the body paragraphs. Let's take a look at an example works cited page. I have here the title of the page, Works Cited. I have 2 source entries. I have this article here, which is an online article to the Washington Post, where I have author's name, title of the piece, publication, and URL. And then here I have a book, author's name, title of the piece, and publisher. This is the way that a works cited would look for these 2 entries. All right, and the final question, can 8th and 9th grade students use citation generators? Yes, we will at this level allow citation generators. These are websites that will help you to create your citation. This is only for 8th and 9th grade students. Upper level students will not be allowed to use these, only through 9th grade. Examples are EasyBib or Citation Machine. Those are 2 websites that will help you to create your works cited entries. If you have any further questions, please reach out to your teacher and ask your teacher directly so that you can get all of your questions answered.